1800s go.
In the 1960s, we had lots of things, birth control and drugs and things like that, that were not open. Remember, the average mom
Thomas Jefferson's not doing like, whoa, I just had like a wild
The average mom still had 7 children in 1800, and she was dressed all the way down to here and covered up. So this is not that kind of like sex, drugs, and rock and roll. What this is saying, you know what? The relationship between a man and a woman should be based in part on love. That a goal of a young child, of any person, should be happiness. And this is why Moses was so important. You talk about that relationship. It was a revolution. The idea that you could have a direct relationship with God. Who was the first person to stand up to a king and to say you could have a direct relationship with God? Answer, it was Moses. And that's why the whole theme of the Exodus was so important. It's why Moses was on the Liberty Bell, Moses on the seal. And it's why, as we begin here, going through our founding fathers, Moses was such a theme, because he was the first person to say we can have moral character and we can be free and have our own relationship with God.
So let's put together a council of founding fathers, a council of dads, which you did, because in case anybody doesn't know the story, Bruce is a survivor of cancer. Are you clean bill of health now?
Clean bill of health.
Okay.
Yeah, full of
and when he found out, he thought, there's a chance I'm going to die. And if I'm going to die, who passes? Who's there to tell my children, teach my children? What are they going to learn? And he put this council of dads together, and now it's turned into a book, because I mean, you survive. Market. That's what I'm thinking. You go and you learn from that experience, and then you share it with others. So, Bruce, you took this idea and used it in your own life for your own kids. But now, let's put one together for the founding fathers. What is the country? What is the founding father? What are they supposed to teach us? Okay, fine. So you have done this great service of kind of reintroducing everybody to the founding fathers. And so I've now gone through all the books and the letters here, and what I have here is we're going to have a little. You're the Johnny Carson of the founding fathers, so I'm going to be your Ed McMahon here. Yes.
We've got a line here. You're going to get a test today, Professor Beck.
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. So the first in our Council of Founding Fathers, the piece of wisdom is honesty is the best policy. Founding father? Founding father. Abraham Lincoln. No. George Washington. Older, exactly. No, I actually heard somebody respond, my favorite founding father is Abraham Lincoln. So the thing about Washington is, by the way, you're right, point. Can we have, do we have a ding here from the, so Washington, right, a man of great virtue, a man of great character, right, the bullets whizzing by him, and he's the first one who said, we're not going to be slaves. He talked about America as a new promised land. And a great moment at his inauguration, right, he could have been the king. He goes up there in a brown suit, not a uniform, right? He doesn't want to be exalted. He opens up the Bible to the last pages of the book of Genesis, right before Exodus, to this moment where Jacob is saying to his brothers, I'm not a God, I'm your brother. That was the message that Washington gave at his inauguration. I'm not a king, I'm just your brother. That is an amazing, I mean, I can't imagine a politician saying that today and meaning it. He really was a father of our country for so many reasons, but one was he was trying to teach us every step of the way how to rule or have a president. You know, up until the reason why we had term limits is because FDR was the first one to take 4. Everyone else, up until that time, they wouldn't run a third term because they'd say, who do I think I am? I'm better than George Washington? And this quote comes from that moment. Right. At his farewell address, he actually prints it as a letter in the newspapers around the country. He never gives it. He says, honesty is the best policy. It's a cliche now, but he's the one who introduced it. And what was his message? We want to run our public affairs as we run our private affairs. Whew. Exactly. You don't want to think about that now. Now that would be... But he's saying honesty is the best policy. Okay, fine, you got a point. Number 2. Avoid extremes. Probably the guy who was sitting naked in the front, his front room, Benjamin Franklin. Benjamin Franklin, exactly. Yes. No, Franklin also, by the way, I mean, an incredibly inventive man, lively, as you said. I mean, you're going to have one of these founding fathers in your Council of Dads. You're going to want Franklin. He's going to be the fun guy. But also very into virtue and modesty and the common good, right? He starts thrift.
penny saved, penny earned.
Ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure.
Yeah.
And he writes when he's 22 years old, 13 virtues he's going to try to follow every day, including temperance, don't eat too much, don't drink too much, resolution, work hard, and moderation. Don't do anything to extremes. And I think that what he, more than any other person, said that America should be about the common good. He actually had problems with his own father, and that's where he started the fire department, the first public library, the first university. He was the first person to say, if we're going to educate our kids, we can prepare them to be the Americans we need them to be.
I don't have that wrong. That's why the founders were so into education, right? Because they knew that the kids, just like in slavery, they knew if you educated, it ended everything. You became an equal of everyone else.
I love the way you said that in the opening setup, which is during all that time they were sending those letters by ship to England, 3 months. I mean, Franklin must have crossed a dozen different times. They were reading and they were preparing themselves. They were creating this revolution, as you said, at the dining room table.
Okay, back in just a second. Founders Fridays. We're back with Bruce Feiler. He's the author of The Council of Dads and America's Prophet, both worth your time and both great reads. We're talking a little bit to fathers today on the Council of Dads, if you will, of founding fathers. What are we supposed to learn from our founders? What message did they leave behind? What did they try to teach at the time? We're going through the Council of Founding Fathers. George Washington was the first one. Bruce, give me a little quiz. Honesty is the best policy. Franklin, avoid extremes. The next one is question with boldness. I mean, I think I got that one nailed. That's Thomas Jefferson.
Yeah, in fact, I learned this quote from you, Glenn, and I think that Jefferson. There was this wonderful line that Adams was the voice of the revolution and Jefferson was the pen. A learned man, 7,000 books in his library, but yet also had this interesting relationship with religion because he was interested in it but wanted to kind of talk back to it. Remember when he was in the White House, he actually cut out the miracles and made this Bible, as you know, and he's the one, along with Franklin, who proposed that Moses be on the seal. July 4th, 1776. Immediately after the Declaration, they asked Franklin, Jefferson, Adams to come up with a seal. They proposed that Moses be on the seal because he represented these ideals of standing up to a king. And he wrote in this letter, not long after, when he was in Paris, to his nephew, question with boldness even the existence of God. And because he said, if there is a God, he will respond to reason more than fear. And I learned this from you.
You must surely rather honest questioning over blindfolded fear. Keyword, honest questioning.
Have to have faith in your life, but it's okay to bring reason. You don't have to leave yourself behind. Okay, so now they're going to get harder.
Yeah.
We've got the easy ones out of the way to build up your confidence.
Who's left?
We've got George Whitefield and John Adams.
They could go either way. I'm going to go John Adams.
Or Fight the Good Fight?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Sorry?
More work needed, Professor. No, this Fight the Good Fight, this is actually a Whitefield one. I mean, Whitefield, an amazing figure. You have done such
Rocks
a service
to the head.
To bring him to life. I mean, in 1776, more famous than Washington. Anybody, we took a poll of this audience in 1776, who you want to have dinner with? Whitefield would have won the answer. And he, incredibly charismatic. There's a wonderful story of Franklin going to hear him. 6,000 people. He's got copper, silver, and gold in his pocket. He says, he starts off, I'm not giving him nothing. He keeps talking, oh man, I'm going to give him some of that copper. Another stroke, ooh, silver. By the end, dumping the whole pocket, the copper, the silver, and the gold. And this is fight the good fight of faith. That's what it's about.
And fight the good fight, I guess, because that's why I said it was kind of tough. Because Whitefield, I mean, he took rocks to the head. They urinated on him during some of his sermons. People would climb a tree behind, because nobody would let him into church, and people would actually urinate on him, and he kept going. I mean, he's amazing.
Nobody talking about him until you have started talking about it. It's a great story. I grew up in Savannah, an orphanage still there. The symbol of that orphanage, the burning bush. Because he said, America's the burning bush. God could have chosen a great cedar, to speak through, he chose a burning bush. America is the burning bush, and we are all Moses.
Love it.
So that leaves, for the last one, dare to read, think, speak, and write. That's John Adams.
I think that's John Adams.
That's the...
Yes, I'm that good.
You could get into college with that kind of reasoning. And but this, I can think, is that message that you said earlier, which is to learn. And you know what Adams said was, knowledge will prevent us from being slaves. That he knew, if you learned, that that was going to be the way that we could defeat them. Because we're going to use our minds as well as our bodies.
May I ask you a question? There's two things. One, and I think it was in 1 Samuel I was reading this last weekend, that talked about, and it just jumped out at me. I've read it before, but it jumped out at me, that